Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for our third Thursday CSP Live. My name is Gabby, and I am joined here with Bridget Barnes. Hi, Bridget.
Hi, Gabby. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Pretty good.
Good. Well,
2021.
I know, 2021, and the topic of managing parenting stress. So I think if we talk about this now, hopefully that means in 2021, our parenting stress levels are less, at least. Maybe not all the way gone, but less than what they are now, I'd hope. So, yes, so today we are talking about parenting stress, which is a topic I think probably 99% of parents have dealt with at one point or another, whether it be, with their job or with things at home or, just life circumstances. COVID-19 especially, I think, brought on a lot of new parenting stress that many of us probably haven't faced before. So I am excited to get into this topic and have Bridget help provide, some new ways to cope with that stress and to hopefully overall lessen stress levels to have a happier, calmer, more peaceful home in 2021. So we did get quite a few submissions, and all of the questions vary in topic. So there's all different kinds of stress sources, like I mentioned, which is great. So the first one has to do with job, which is what I just mentioned. And this mom says, I started a new job this month and it's pretty stressful. How can I work on not bringing the stress home? I don't want the stress of my job negatively influencing my family.
Okay, well, that's an excellent question, and one that many parents struggle with, how to keep home and work from colliding together. Number one, give yourself a break. Stress is not always a bad thing. There's positive stress and then there's negative stress. And stress is in our life to tell us we are alive. So it's kind of a good thing to have stress. You know, you're still living. That's good. That's good. So the thing that you could do to kind of reduce the bad stress in your life is just learn to meditate a little bit more. I don't think we take the time to do nothing. And that's truly what meditation is about, quieting the brain and doing nothing about things. Because we're in a very reactive world. We react right away, little dingy things that are going off. We are used to responding. And so meditation says to quiet the mind and just to try to focus on your breathing, focus on nothing pretty much. I mean, you're going to have things come across your mind. That's fine, but you don't need to react to it. See? And so sometimes what I do in the morning is my little alarm goes off on my phone, and I have a nice little ringtone that goes off in the morning, and I let it go off several times. But in the time, yeah, well, while that's going off, Gabby and I could just be taking that deep breath, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Just lay there comfortably, take the breath, and now you're doing something active and something focused to calm yourself down, not being antsy, like, oh, I got to get up. Oh, should I exercise? Oh, no, your mind begins to race. So I just quiet my mind. I do that also when I'm at work. Especially if I've come out of a stressful meeting or I'm going into one, I just take a few moments. It doesn't take very much. You don't have to be sitting in a yoga stance or anything like that. You can just, start your breathing, do it for a couple of seconds. And then again, after work, either before I get in my car, if you're waiting on public transportation, just learning to, focus your breathing, calm yourself, listen to your favorite music, do something that's calming. On my way home, I listen to my audiobook of my favorite story. It's very calming. Before I get out of my car to go inside my house, I just stay there for a moment.
Right.
And just, breathe. Yeah, and it just takes a few minutes. And then when I get to the door and the kids approach me, when my kids are little, I would hug them, but I wouldn't try to solve any problems within the first 15, 20 minutes. If the house was a mess, it stayed a mess. If a kid wasn't doing their homework, that's one, I just would go get on my mommy hot shoes. I would just get on my other clothes. I would get to myself, and then I would respond to those things. And I did respond a little calmer because I took the time to refocus myself. So Think about refocusing, using meditation throughout the day. It's like a muscle that you have to kind of work so it responds instantaneously when you do need to have it in very stressful situations. Yeah.
And I think definitely if we learned anything from 2020 and going into 2021, especially for those of us who do work from home and kind of even sometimes have a mix of I do a little bit of work and then I take care of some of the household chores or whatever it may be, I think setting boundaries for yourself as a parent is going to be another way to not feel extra stressed and overwhelmed. So, whether you're working a standard 8 to 5 job or you're working from home, set those boundaries. So, when I walk in the door and I come home from work or when I shut my computer for the day, if I'm working from home, I'm focused on my family and I'm not letting constant thoughts of work and, oh, what's on my agenda for tomorrow, run through my head because, that's when it gets to be stressful and overwhelming is when don't turn it off at an appropriate time.
And I think it's hard for parents to turn that off, especially now that our jobs are at home. So just saying to turn it off is, I don't know we can do that. But what you can do is add meditation where you focus on, you're mindful about, just breathing. You're not thinking, those thoughts are going to come across your mind, but you're just not going to react to them. You're going to, yes. So I think that's easier for us to do. And eventually you can get to the point once you just start with this small thing of little tiny meditations throughout the day or before you, interact with your kiddos.
Yes, definitely. Great question and great answer. So aside from meditation, Bridget, what other self-care things can parents do to reduce their stress levels?
Well, yes, there's the usual stuff like eating right and exercising and getting enough sleep, right? Those three things we know would really help reduce our stress. Unfortunately, COVID, us being stuck in our homes, sometimes we don't get to that. So, trying to do things like sometimes I just start with little things like being honest about my stress, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes as parents, we try to hide that from our kids, but they can see it. They know it. You know the saying, Gabby, when mommy's not happy, nobody's happy.
Oh, yes.
Same thing applies with parents. Yes. When they're stressed out, their kids are stressed out. So be honest about that. And you can have a family meeting and say, I'm feeling very stressed out. So if you guys notice that I'm being a little snappy or that kind of thing, might be going on. And what I'll try to do is take a step back, but you're still going to get corrected about things you're doing. But at the same time, I just want you to be aware this is, why I'm feeling that way. Also, be a little bit flexible. They're going to be dishes in the sink. Don't get yourself all worked up when you don't get all your chores done or things don't get done exactly the way you want to. There are some things that really in the scheme of things don't really matter or, shouldn't destroy your calmness. And then, of course, just be mindful of your stress. Be aware of your triggers, things that might be causing you to have fatigue or fear, those kind of things. And when you are a little bit more mindful of that, I think you can be able to respond to it better.
Yeah. And we do have an article on our website all about how to set up a family meeting. So we'll make sure to link that in the comments. But, whether it's related to parenting stress or anything, having, regular family meetings just about whatever topic is influencing your family is always a great idea. So we encourage you all to check that out. This one relates, definitely. So this mother says, I feel my stress is making me extra tough on my kids lately. Sure, they misbehave and it's very frustrating, but how can I lighten up on them? I'm feeling some mom guilt.
Yeah, I think a lot of parents are experiencing that and know that you're not alone. In fact, you can come to a common sense parenting class and really know that you're not alone and maybe learn some really great tips and be with other parents. I think being around other people that are in the same situation as you, then you realize, oh, I'm not the only one and maybe I'm not doing things so horribly wrong. And so coming to a class might be just the thing that gives you that break from parenting and all the other things you have in your life and gets you to be around other parents going through the same thing. That's a shameful plug, I know, but hopefully you guys go to our site and learn about our classes. Yeah. Um, I would just say, be slow to speak and slow to react when it comes to correcting your children when you're stressed out. Okay. Once you just kind of, if you're feeling like I'm really stressed out, but this kid is over here doing something, just take a step back and breathe, get yourself calmed down, take care of yourself first, and then attend to the child. If they're not on fire or bleeding, they're okay. And then you can, make sure that you're okay so that you attend to it in the right way. But let's say that you do respond and you say or do things that are inappropriate. Instead of feeling guilty, just apologize. That's a good modeling to your kiddos that, hey, when you do something wrong, you should apologize for that. That doesn't mean that your child who maybe did something that was wrong doesn't still get a consequence. But if you express that correction in a way that was rough or, very inappropriate, then you'll want to make sure that you apologize for that behavior.
Yes, I think definitely responding instead of reacting is a common theme when it comes to managing parenting stress. So that would be a great example of when to do that. This one definitely I think is relatable too. So when my kids act out, it is so tough for us to discipline and move on. So sometimes it feels like the stress of one bad behavior or incident can ruin the whole day, which adds to parenting stress. How can we prevent or stop this from happening?
Well, kids are very visual, and so is 40% of the population. We're very visual animals. And so sometimes it's very easy for us to get stuck in kind of a loop when negative things have happened and not to notice the positive things that are happening in the midst of those negative things. So let's say my kid was running in the house and I said, come to me, and the kid comes to me. Well, that's a positive thing. He came to me when I called. Okay. But I'm not noticing that because now I'm going to talk to them about running the house and knocking down the vase and all those things. Yeah. So we have to be more aware of the good that surrounds some of the negative things kids are doing. And we also will want to maybe, in order to do that, to be that visual person that we are, is maybe keep a chart. It doesn't have to be a big thing, and it could be the kids thing, and this can go for older kids too. Just, the things that you're doing well. So the kid says, I want to go out with my friends on the weekend. You say, well, let's chart it out. You're supposed to follow instructions or be considerate to your sister. Do 3 considerate things a day. Let's check it out. And maybe you can earn going with your friends or earn extra playtime on the computer or whatever the case might be. So, kind of chart it out. And then when they have that bad day, Gabby, when the parent has that bad day that everything seems to go wrong, they can look back at the chart and look, hey, 3 days, it was really great. My kid's not this horrible kid, just because this really bad day occurred. And they're going to be really bad days. That's just part of being a parent and part of being a kid. And so when you can accept that and see the good that's sometimes surrounding that negative thing and also chart it out for a kid, that can help them sometimes see that, hey, I'm not this bad kid. I can do things right. In fact, I had 3 days where things were going pretty well for me. Let me revisit what was I doing back then that I can do now, right?
Yeah, that's a great idea. And we always say catch them being good. When you catch them being good, like Bridget said, it takes a lot less energy to focus on the bad. So it's great.
Yeah, you guys have those little praise boxes up on, like people can download, right, up online.
And yeah, we do have praise boxes. Yeah, we'll put those in the comments. That is a great activity for you and your kids to do together. So we'll make sure to link that. Awesome. Oh man, sometimes I feel like I never get any alone time as a parent. I just want to take 5 minutes to hide in my closet. How can I cope with these overwhelming feelings? I think we've all been there.
Well, I don't have any problem, Gabby, with people hiding in their closets. Go right ahead, hide away. I've had many a parent call me, Bridget, I'm in the bed. That's fine. Just stay in there.
Take and then meditate while you're in the closet. Make sure you're meditating.
Yes. Take a few moments for yourself. Now, this is what I did when my kids were young. They kind of trained them to give me time alone. Was I scheduled these little 5 minute, 10 minute dates with them. And I used a little timer too. And where I would like, okay, I focused all my attention on them. We played the game, we colored the thing, we did whatever, played chess, whatever the case may be. And then when the timer went off, the date was over, and they went back to doing whatever they were doing, and I went back to doing what I was doing. And then this alarm would go off all the time. It was, oh, it's daytime, and then they would come, and then we'd have the date. But they didn't realize there were times when I wasn't with them. They had to not interrupt me. Part of the thing of earning the date was that they didn't interrupt me when I was doing something else. And so when their day came up, they were like, wait, it's my time. And they couldn't interrupt another child's date either. So that gave me time with each child. But it also trained them to leave me alone and give me some time because those dates were scheduled. Right. And so scheduling and having a routine in your household can really reduce stress and give you some of the alone time that you need. Try not to overschedule yourself. Sometimes parents are just taking kids from here to there and everywhere, and there's something going on every minute. Be okay to have some nothing time where you turn down the lights, you shut off things, you just read a book, and nobody begins to mess around and do a whole lot of things, right? And you'll find that you'll kind of develop that alone time. Sometimes we fill up our own days. It's not always our kids. Yeah.
So. And I think too, utilizing bedtime. So if your kids are younger, plan, okay, every, Tuesday night when I put my kids down to bed, I'm going to take 10 minutes to, like you said, read my favorite book or meditate or pray, do whatever it is that makes you feel calm. That is a great time of the day where you know that hopefully they're asleep and you can have that alone time. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
Yes. Okay, this is definitely a more stressful topic. So, my husband and I recently divorced and are struggling to manage the stress of it all. How can we keep this from negatively influencing and stressing our kids out more than they are already? We are trying our best to remain civil and co parent, but it is definitely an adjustment.
Yes, that is a stressful time when you're going through a divorce. And if you can do that amicably, if you can just get on the same page that the kids are the priority, right?
Mm-hmm.
That our feelings do matter, but our kids are our priority, and we're going to try to be on the same page and parallel parent, maybe in that situation. Getting therapeutic help, counseling is always great. It's so hard now with COVID going on. So, kids who used to rely on their school counselors and people like that were automatically there for kids now because they're at home are maybe not getting that for those kids who are working from home. But you can also call on the school for your kiddos if you feel like there's a lot going on and my kids, I can't really control what's going on with my ex-spouse and me, but I can get my kids the support they need for, their own therapeutic needs. But I would always, suggest if you can get some therapy on board, some family therapy, please try to do that, especially when you're going through a divorce. And learn that communication, to try to communicate in writing calmly and communicate in front of children as calmly as possible. And if you feel like it's getting out of control, you should stop and take a break and reschedule that for another time. But don't try to argue in front of kids. It's just not a cool thing to do. It's not a cool look for parents. Yeah, so I definitely know it is a stressful time. And when you're under stress, like I said, using those meditation, that mindfulness, getting some relaxation strategies in your life so that when you're feeling like I'm going to have a meeting with my ex, I'm going to need to start breathing before, during, after, and I'm going to need to learn to have some kind of safe statement like, hey, look, it's getting really kind of dicey. Now let's take a break and come back to this later. And never, ever argue in front of kids when at all possible. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you do feel like some of the stress is, spilling over to your kids, which it might, and I'm sure it is a lot of change for them. So we always recommend reaching out to the Boys Town Hotline as a resource for your kids. So you should add that number into their phone if they're old enough to have a phone. It's 1-800-448-3000, or they can always text voice to 20101, and we'll make sure to add this to the comments as well. But, whether it's you're going through a divorce, you're not getting along, there is stress in the home in any capacity, the Boys Town Hotline is a great resource to share. So
Yeah, Gabby, they have that great app, don't they? Right, where the kids can see how stressed out they are on a daily basis, and they can text other kids. So that's a really great tool. I'm glad you mentioned that. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's called My Life, My Voice. So they can download that on the App Store or Google Play. And basically, what it is, it's kind of like a mood journal. So every day they can log with emojis how they're feeling. And, if their mood starts to trend downward, it encourages them to reach out to the hotline. So it's kind of fun for them to log their moods. And then also have the reassurance that help is available. So it's a great little app, I think, for kids and teens alike. So it's great. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit, switching gears to morning routines. What tips do you have to make the mornings less stressful for families, particularly school mornings?
Yeah, lighten up, make morning routines with less things going on. So try to do as much as you can the evening before, such as kids are going to school. Backpacks are already at the door or in the car for that matter. Kids have done a lot of their hygiene the night before, so they have little to do in the morning. Starting kids staggered so that kids who need a lot more help get more time, while kids who can get it together and get it done don't have to wake up as early. Definitely try to make it as positive as possible. And sometimes I used to play music that with my kids that started out slow and then it got a little faster, more upbeat. So it made them move faster. It was so fun to watch them, responding to this music.
They do have a playlist on YouTube that plays the Mario Kart music. I don't know if you've heard that before, but it tends to get frantic similar to that. So that would be a great one. Like, all right, we got to get moving. Let's play the Mario Kart music.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was, it started out soft and, very relaxing and that kind of thing. But then when we needed to move it and I knew what time, okay, now the music is going a little faster and kids would be responding. So yeah, just kind of, but don't try to put everything like, oh, do all these chores in the morning and do all this eating and do all these things. So just try to make it light. It's morning light. Okay. A little less going on there. And I think it'll reduce some of your stress.
Yeah, definitely. Making shorter to-do lists is always a great way to reduce your stress. So that's awesome. What tips do you have for refraining from becoming a, quote, helicopter parent? I often feel like if I don't know what my teenager is up to, who they're with, and when, I become overly stressed. So I think this might be a common thing for quite a few tween to teen parents.
Yeah, definitely. You got a teenager, you're wanting to know who they're around or what they're doing, what's going on. So there's no problem with those things. But trying to be a helicopter parent just makes them hide more, right? It makes kids want to hide more from you. And so that little 5-minute, 10-minute date, that still happened when my kids were teens. If I picked them up or we were in the car, I would just say, oh, let's go get a Coca-Cola around the, at the gas station, and they're locked in the car. They can't get out. And then they're having a wonderful Coke. And I am just, sometimes I was just quiet. I was just there, not to say anything, not to judge them, not to question them. And after a while, they begin to open up because I wasn't asking them a ton of questions about what you're doing, but, that kind of thing. But I just asked them to tell me about things. How are things going? Oh, and knowing some things like who their friends are, that kind of thing. How's so-and-so doing? Did they pass that test that they were trying to? Oh, did, so-and-so make it on the team? So on and so forth. So having more conversational and knowing about their lives and letting them tell me about their lives and being willing to listen. Sometimes when we listen, they tell us stuff. So if you create the time to kind of be a helicopter, and then you're not always a helicopter. So have a little 5-10 minute date with your kiddo, get some information, and then let them free into the world. And hopefully, if you've done your due diligence in regards to teaching them the skills they need to have in problem solving and calming down strategies, they're going to be able to make good decisions when they're not around you.
Yeah, definitely. That was something I know my parents did growing up. We would every Friday we'd go get Sonic after school, and it was like our special time to chat and recap the week. So anything like that, before the weekend when they're super busy with their friends, it's a great idea, great time, and it doesn't make you seem too snoopy because you're getting them a treat and something they enjoy, and framing it as that quality time is always great. So.
We're sneaky that way as parents, yes.
Yes, definitely. All right. Looks like this is our last question. So if anybody has questions before we wrap up, please feel free to comment them in the chat box and we can get those answered. Otherwise, we have this one left. So just in general, what other resources does Boys Town offer to learn ways to be a less stressed parent? So I know we talked about the common sense parenting classes as an option. Can you talk a little bit more about how those help parents with this topic?
Well, our common sense parenting classes we have online now, Gabby, so people can go to the class in the comfort of their own homes. And the neat thing is they meet once a week. It's usually just for an hour, 30 minutes, goes by pretty quick before you know it is done. But about 10 parents are in the class with you, and we have discussion, and they learn about a skill that would help them to stay calm or to correct their kids with care or to be more proactive than reactive parents. Reactive parents work harder. So how to set up routines and strategies that can help them to stay calm. So the classes go over the course of 6 weeks usually, and they're usually in the evening. So we try to put them at a time that every parent can get to that. So, but I think that that's a nice way to plug into information that maybe you don't have, or to reaffirm or enhance the skills you already have, and to be around other parents. So come on down to the classes. We have some free too, Gabby. There are classes free in North Omaha that parents can go to, in Bellevue, for our military and Bellevue parents going in the Bellevue School District, Lincoln and Grand Island, there's free class. So they're all over the place. Want people to come on down, take advantage of that, so they don't have to pay for class when they can get in for free.
Yes. So we'll link that too. You can search by your zip code on our website to find a class near you, or sign up for any of our virtual ones also. So another idea I had while you were talking, the Calm Down kits on our website is another great resource. So we usually plug these for kids, but anyone can really make a Calm Down kit. So parents, that would be another great tool for you to use also. Oh yeah, there you go. We just got it right there.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Our parents get them in the classes. So, if you come to the class, you'll get all the different kits that each week there's a different theme, the calm down kit, the praise box, whatever the case may be. And all of those things build, I don't think you can just say, I'm going to be calm. You have to kind of build your parenting skills. One builds on top of the other to be able to execute a calm parenting approach, right? Like clear communication, having reasonable consequences, teaching kids alternative behavior, on and on. So coming to the class would be helpful. You guys have a fantastic, online site where you can ask the expert. So let's say you have a immediate question that you want to ask. You could go up there and ask the expert, and someone will respond to you with an answer. That would be a good way. And the articles are great too. So there's just lots of support there for parents and on our Boys Town site.
Wait. Yeah, definitely. Take some time and browse through that. You can search by any topic and find, every resource you need. So great. Well, I think we definitely have some takeaways from this live. So practice mindfulness and try to respond instead of react, and just try to take, some time for yourself when you start to feel that stress coming on. Recognize it. What are your signs? How do you feel when you're becoming stressed out? And what steps can you take right away to reduce it before it gets to your home and to your family? So If you have any remaining questions, feel free to send them to our Boys Town Parenting page. And make sure you like this video and follow our page for our next CSP Live in February. So thank you, Bridget.
You're welcome. See you next time, Gabby.
See you next time. Bye, everybody.